He didn't want to fight. He didn't believe in killing. And yet in the forests of France, one American soldier captured an entire enemy battalion by himself. Like the man who never wanted war before Alvin York ever wore a uniform. He was something far removed from the image of a warrior. Born in 1887 in the mountains of Tennessee, York grew up poor, deeply religious and fiercely independent. His world was built on hard labor, prayer, and a strict moral code shaped by the Bible. He hunted to feed his family, not for sport. He believed life was sacred. Violence in his mind was a sin. When Europe erupted into World War I, York paid little attention. It was a distant conflict fought by distant nations. But when the United States entered the war in 1917, everything changed. The draft didn't care about beliefs. It didn't care about doubts, and suddenly Alvin York, a man who prayed for peace, was ordered to prepare for war. The conscientious objector in a violent world, York didn't refuse service out of cowardice. He refused out of conviction. He applied for conscientious objector status, arguing that his faith forbade him from killing another human being. The Army denied his request. To them, York was strong, disciplined, and an exceptional marksman. Exactly the kind of soldier they needed. Sent to training camp, York struggled internally every day. His officers noticed his conflict and did something unusual. Instead of punishing him, they debated scripture with him. They spoke about duty, about protecting others, about the difference between murder and defense. Slowly, painfully, York reached a conclusion that would define history. If war was unavoidable, then stopping evil could itself be a moral act. He didn't embrace violence. He accepted responsibility, from reluctance to precision. Once York committed, he committed fully. His upbringing had unknowingly trained him for combat. Years of hunting in the mountains had made him a natural marksman. He could judge distance instinctively. He could fire calmly under pressure. He didn't waste bullets. Fellow soldiers watched in awe as York hit targets others missed. Still, he wasn't loud. He wasn't aggressive. He didn't talk about glory.
He simply trained, prayed, and prepared.
When his unit shipped out to France in 1918, York wasn't chasing heroism. He just wanted to survive with his conscience intact. The Meuse-Argonne Offensive begins by October 1918. The war had reached a breaking point. The Allies launched the massive Meuse-Argonne Offensive, the largest battle the United States had ever fought. The terrain was a nightmare. Dense forests, muddy valleys, and German machine gun nests hidden in every ridge. American troops advanced under relentless fire. Entire units were pinned down and slaughtered by unseen enemies. York's regiment was ordered to push through a heavily defended sector of the Argonne forest. The mission was simple and suicidal: silence the German machine guns or die trying. York was part of a small patrol sent behind enemy lines to take out machine gun positions firing on advancing American troops. The patrol succeeded, briefly. They captured several German soldiers. But then the forest erupted. German machine guns opened fire from multiple directions, cutting down Americans instantly. Within seconds, most of York's patrol was dead or wounded. The survivors were pinned to the ground. The Germans believed they had eliminated the threat. They were wrong. Alvin York stood up. What happened next defied logic. York began picking off German machine gun crews one by one, calmly, methodically. He didn't spray bullets. He fired single shots, eliminating threats with terrifying precision. When German soldiers charged him with bayonets, York switched to his pistol and dropped them at close range, just like hunting wild game back home. He advanced alone, firing, moving, reloading, never panicking. German officers watched in disbelief as their positions collapsed under fire from a single American soldier. To them, it must have felt supernatural, like death itself had entered the forest wearing a uniform. As York advanced, something extraordinary happened. A German officer stood up and shouted for his men to stop firing. He ordered them to surrender, not to an army, not to a platoon, but to one man. Over 130 German soldiers laid down their weapons. York escorted them back through the forest, still under fire, still alone for much of the journey. When American commanders saw York emerge with a column of enemy prisoners, they thought it was a mistake. It wasn't. One man had done what entire units couldn't. York's actions immediately spread through the Allied ranks. Newspapers called him a miracle. Soldiers called him a legend. The Army awarded him the Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration. Overnight, the quiet man from Tennessee became the most famous soldier in the world. But York didn't celebrate. He didn't boast. He said only that he had done what he believed was right. To him, the real victory was ending the war sooner, saving lives on both sides. After the war, York was paraded across America. He was offered movie deals, endorsements, wealth, and power. He refused nearly all of it. He returned home, used his fame to raise money for schools, and lived modestly. Hollywood later begged him to tell his story. He resisted for years, fearing glorification of violence. When he finally agreed, it was only on the condition that the film portrayed faith, responsibility, and sacrifice, not bloodlust. Alvin York represents something rare in military history, a warrior who never loved war. His story isn't about aggression. It's about moral conflict, discipline, and restraint. He proved that courage doesn't require hatred, and that sometimes the strongest soldiers are the ones who never wanted to fight at all. In a world obsessed with power, York showed that character could be deadlier than weapons. York lived quietly until his death in 1964. He never called himself a hero. He believed God had guided him, not destiny. Yet military academies still study his actions. Leaders still debate his decisions, and historians still struggle to explain how one man changed the course of a battle and a war without losing his soul. Alvin York didn't seek legend. Legend found him. In the chaos of World War I, amid mud, fear, and machine gun fire, one American proved that conviction and discipline could stand against overwhelming force. He walked into history unwilling and walked out immortal.